Welcome, everyone. Give me 1 minute. Just trying to connect to Instagram. And okay, here we go. Welcome, everyone. Got some breaking news to talk about today. As you may all have known, I actually announced earlier last week. I can't even remember time anymore. Last week, I informed everyone that the new Biden program, Parole in Place, or Keeping Families Together, was beginning on April 19th. That program was to help undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens who are currently in the U.S. and have been for at least 10 years, essentially be able to get their green cards without having to file a hardship waiver and without having to leave the U.S. April 19th, they began accepting applications. And I even stated in the video that I'm sure there'll be legal challenges. So we're not exactly sure what will happen. And lo and behold, yesterday, a few days ago, 16 states, I believe it was, filed lawsuits to stop the program. And yesterday, the judge in Texas issued what's called a temporary restraining order, or TRO. TRO lasts for 14 days, and they issued it to pause the program. And this temporary restraining order can be extended for another 14 days upon a showing of good cause or consent of all parties. But that's more of the specific legal issues going on. Let's talk about what this means. So if you were thinking of applying for Parole in Place under this program, or you have already applied, well, applications are still being accepted. USCIS just cannot process them. So this is kind of similar to what happened with DACA. When the DACA program restarted, they had a brief period of time where they were accepting and processing a new initial DACA applications, and then a lawsuit stopped it. And if you had applied for an initial DACA during that period, USCIS still has your application. It's still considered pending, but they're not allowed to do anything with it as the legal challenges continue. Will this program take the same fate as DACA? That has yet to be determined. As I said, it's only a temporary injunction. That means that basically the judge took a look at the case and said, well, the challengers have merit to their argument. And the judge said, I need some more time to sift through all these constitutional arguments. And just in case that I decide it's unconstitutional, I want to be able to quickly and completely reverse it. This was filed in a court where that has been known to stop programs or pause programs like this. So it's not completely surprising. So the judge isn't saying yet that one side or another is right. Obviously, people who are suing this and organizations who are suing and challenging this program see this as a win. It's a minor win. But it doesn't necessarily mean the program itself is unconstitutional. So what did the 16 states challenging say? They said it violates the Constitution because only Congress can do an action like this. They're arguing that Parole in Place is supposed to be a discretionary case-by-case consideration, and this is doing it like en masse. It's basically giving a whole group of people an immigration benefit. And again, I just want to make sure it's clear. I'm not saying one side or the other is right. I'm just telling you what their arguments are. They also said there was no notice and comment period, which is usually what is required to create a regulation, a federal regulation. Then they said in order to give someone humanitarian parole, there needs to be a significant public benefit, and that the proponents of this policy have not shown or have not even made an argument that there's a significant public benefit. They're also arguing, and this is for both, but more so for to get the temporary restraining order to pause the program, that the states are arguing, if you let this program take effect, we're going to suffer severe economic harm. They point, or sorry, an undue financial burden on the states. They cite burdens with healthcare, education, and other expenses. And then, of course, this is an argument we always hear when these lawsuits are filed, is that this will encourage illegal immigration and actively worsen their immigration problem. Most of these states are border states that have filed for suit, or border states or border states. So, what do the defenders of this program say? Well, of course, they say it's a valid exercise of executive power. Also, that there is absolutely no evidence that it will encourage illegal immigration or that it will financially harm the states, that it's all speculative harm. The relief applies only to people that have already been living here for 10 years. So they're saying these people, in fact, it'll help you because these people didn't have insurance before. Now they'll be able to get insurance and not just go to the emergency room. Education, illegal immigrants are allowed to go through our public school education system. So they're saying the states haven't proved any specific harm, economic harm, or not even prove, haven't even really alleged it. They're just doing a more of a general allegation. They're also saying that the states do not have standing to sue. And that means that in order to bring a lawsuit, you have to have, there's certain requirements. One of those requirements is standing, which encompasses three different things. Redressability, meaning that they have to be the court has to be able to give you some type of relief for what you're looking for. There also has to be an injury in fact. So you don't have to have been injured yet, but it cannot be too speculative or remote. It has to be that an injury is going to happen immediately. So the states are arguing the second it takes place, they're going to be harmed by this. This was also the same argument that was used from both sides when the Biden administration announced parole in place for Ukrainian citizens, Nicaragua, Colombia, Venezuela, and Haiti. And actually, the Ukraine program wasn't challenged. It was just Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, and Haiti. And in March, the court struck down that challenge, saying that parole in place was lawful in that purpose. Very similar arguments were used that, parole in place is supposed to be case by case. This is giving an entire country of people and countries of people the ability to stay in the U.S. With a lawful status and get a work permit. And they argued the economic harm, but it was struck down officially back in March of this year. And they're also saying, defenders of this program, that there is a strong, urgent humanitarian purpose. In fact, parole in place, the program parole in place in general, began in 2007. It was started by President Bush. And it was used initially only for family members of military service members. So the whole purpose behind that was, if you have a family member who's fighting for the US and you're here illegally, and you can't, what's blocking you from getting your citizenship is that you entered the country illegally. Well, we think that you should be able to keep your family intact. That's important for our troops. That's important for our country. That's why the program was started. So the argument kind of continues in that sense, saying, look, it's the same reason. It's the same public benefit, keeping families intact, giving people lawful status who are just here illegally for the longest time and have significant ties to communities, have U.S. citizen spouses, most likely U.S. citizen children. A lot of these people are people who have DACA, who came here as young, when they were young, without any paperwork. So there is a strong argument in favor of the program. And I would say, now I can get to my opinion on the legality of this program. It's not an easy question to answer. What I will say is that I I don't think the states have standing. I think that it's gonna fall on the same ground that the other lawsuits earlier this year fell on, um, because the states themselves can't sue. They need an individual is usually the one who would have to be able to sue in this case. I also don't think the states, there is conflicting data out there about the economic impact of a program like this on these border states, but there really isn't any evidence that it will lead to a surge of unlawful immigration. And in the past, we have had both Republican and Democrat presidents um, put in enact some type of amnesty program. For example, was it Reagan? He did some type of amnesty back in the 80s. Like I said, President Bush was the one who started this to begin with. He was a Republican president, so it's been used by many presidents, and it's also used on an individual basis. So if someone has a medical problem and they need to come here to get a medical procedure, and they applied for a visa and were denied, humanitarian parole is the alternative approach that one could use. So I think that the standing is the biggest issue here. Also, when specifically when it comes to proving economic harm, I do think the TRO will be extended while they're waiting for the other side to make their argument. If it gets extended, it will be on pause for another 14 days. After that, there would have to be a permanent injunction a preliminary injunction issued, which is different than a temporary restraining order. It would stay intact until the end of the case. Um, Again, we don't know if that's going to happen, but we shall find out soon. And I, of course, will update you. So if you're watching this and you're wondering, well, what do I do? Do I apply? Do I not apply? Yes, you apply because they are currently accepting applications. You want to get in line, you want your application in there, and then we just all pray together and hope that that this program stays alive, because it's going to help a lot of people who otherwise would never be able to obtain lawful status. We can argue all day about whether it's right or wrong that they're here in the first place, but that's not the point. What the point is here is that the facts are this program would help over 500,000 people that are good citizens, have not, these aren't people who have committed crimes or anything like that. I am a fan of this program because it does lift a lot of boundaries for a lot of my clients. And I do think that it is within the executive purview. It is a stretch. I will say that too. There's definitely merit to the other side of this argument. But at the end of the day, I think it makes sense considering our immigration system is just not equipped to deal with this, to deal with all these people. If you wanted to even kick them out, you couldn't. So what else are you going to do? That's kind of my view, if for all those who care. Um, but again, if you have applied, then you're just standing by it right now, and fingers are crossed. If you haven't, and you want to, well, our contact information scrolling across the bottom of our screen. We'd be more than happy to help you, but I do recommend you getting in that application before a window can possibly close to even get them to hold the initial application. And especially if you're someone married to a U.S. citizen, you entered without a visa, you entered unlawfully, and you're not eligible for a hardship waiver, this is your path to get that green card, to get that application in. If you found this video to be helpful, don't forget to like us and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you are watching. If you found this video to be helpful, please hit that share, save button, drop us a comment, let us know what you think. Do you think that parole in place is going to be upheld or not? And if you have any questions or are looking to apply for yourself, as I said, contact information should be scrolling across the bottom of your screen. I will update you when I hear more news, which will likely be in September or October. That is what they're saying that things are scheduled for next. So that is all for now. Thank you for watching and have a great day.